Hey everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Elizabeth Gerard, and today I will be sharing with you guys the part one of my testimony. I am breaking it up just because I'm gonna have to have two different videos because there's just so much, and currently I am going through part two of my testimony. So I'm just gonna share with you guys part one because I feel like the Lord has been wanting me to share this for quite some time now. So, yeah, my name is Elizabeth Gerard. I go by Liz. I just turned 28, January 21st of this year. So, yeah, I'm getting up there. I was born and raised in Ohio, out in the country. My parents did end up having 6 kids. I am the 5th child. And my parents did raise all of their children to know Jesus and to go to church. Thank God. I am truly grateful for that. We did go to church here and there. It's also hard for me to remember exactly like how consistent we went to church, but from what I remember, we just really, our faith was just going to church. And that was that. It wasn't, let's have Bible study at home, let's pray, which I'm sure my parents did pray and stuff, but I don't really remember. Again, I was really young during this time, so I really don't remember. But yeah, we did go to church here and there. So like I said, I am so grateful for that. But because of the lack of that firm foundation of really, reading the Bible all the time, praying all the time, all of that, I feel like, that was easy access for Satan to come in and, destroy my family. And that's unfortunately what ended up happening. My parents did eventually get a divorce, and it was absolutely terrible. But we experienced a lot in this house, while my father was there. A lot of verbal abuse, physical abuse as well. And I do remember one instance. I remember being I was 9 years old, and I had just gotten my ears pierced, I believe at Claire's, with my mom. And my dad said he was going to take pliers and rip them out. That's just one example of some of the abuse, which thank God that never happened. But this is just some of the stuff that he would say. And I love my father more than anything, and I forgive him. And again, like I said, because of the lack of the foundation of reading the Bible and really having a relationship with Jesus, not just the religion. Because a lot of times, Christianity can just be a religion, and when you're not consistently in the Word of God, you have to put on the full armor of God every single day. And I just really feel like my parents just didn't know how to do this. And it's not, I don't even want to say it's my parents' fault. Partially, but also a lot of these pastors are just not preaching what they should be preaching, and a lot of it is just surface level things, unfortunately. But yeah, so there's a lot of things that happened in the house, a lot of abuse, like I said, physically and verbally, that me and some of my siblings had to go through. And so that really made it hard for me to, in school it made it hard, I should say. It made it hard for me for school. I did have some friends in the small town that I lived outside of a small town, and so I did make some friends that lived in this small town, so that made it a lot better for me for school. But a lot of times I just did not want to go to school because my mom was working 3rd shift, my dad was working 1st shift, and so I didn't really have help with my homework. I didn't ever have help. There's a lot of things I didn't understand, and I just was really, really hard for me to focus on school because I was just constantly thinking about what was happening at home, and all the abuse and the things that my dad would say was very confusing. Now I understand it. Now I understand that our wrestle is not against flesh and blood, but it is against principalities, and these are demons, the devil and his demons. This is what our fight is against. It is not just chemical imbalance in the brain. This is a serious fight that we are in. And now I realize that. But when I was younger, I just I thought, oh, maybe it's schizophrenia or something like that. But no, I realized that it's demons. And I even remember having dreams when I was a kid of demonic dreams. There was one dream that I still remember when I was a kid. I was in my room, and I just remember that, like, I felt like I couldn't move, and I could tell it was like I was trying to run away from a demon, and I just could not run away. Like, I was like stuck physically. But yeah, there was just a lot that I went through as a child and experienced, and no child should ever have to go through the things that, you know, I went through and my siblings went through. So yeah, school was just really hard, and was really hard most of my elementary school all the way up to till high school. It was really hard for me, and I really it was really challenging for me in school, and I ended up get help back, because like I said, you know, my mom had a lot on her plate, having 6 kids, you know, and my father wanted her to work, so she had 6 kids and working more than full time. I mean, she was working a lot of times. She was working overtime and working thirds, and so if any of us kids would not go to school, it'd be really hard for her because she needed to go to sleep. You know, my dad was working first shift, so that just made it really hard in general. But I mean, they tried the best that they could, and I am grateful for what my parents did do, and everything they had to sacrifice for us kids. And I am grateful for them, especially my dad, instilling like this work ethic in all of us. I mean, we used to have a lot of land, like a couple acres of land, and my dad would always, you know, me being really young, I'd have to get out there and mow the lawn, like a push mower too, you know, push mower, just going around mowing the lawn. I mean, I used to get like blisters too. It was a lot, but yeah, so I am grateful for that. But yeah, my childhood, it was a very hard childhood, and it followed me all the way up to, like I said, high school. And but yeah, eventually, you know, to a lot of things that my father was struggling with, it did end up in, my parents ended up splitting up, divorcing, but like it takes a little bit when you're going through divorce. So eventually we lost the house, and we ended up, my mom and a lot of my siblings, we ended up moving out, and then we moved away, and we ended up not like extremely far, but we just moved to, like, I guess the next like town over. And so I ended up going to a whole new school, made all these different friends and everything, which was really hard for me. And I think this was about like probably 7th grade at this time, and my parents split up, and yeah, that was really hard. Made things even more challenging on me, you know, while I was in middle school. And still in school, I really struggled. I did not ever like school. It was so hard for me. And eventually I did get, you know, truancy charges. But besides the truancy charges and not going to school, you know, there was a lot of times where my main focus was having a boyfriend. Even at the, you know, young age of like probably 13 years old, I just wanted a boyfriend all the time. Just wanted a boyfriend. And that was my main focus, was always having a boyfriend, wanted to date. I remember there's this song I used to listen to when I'd go on the bus, like 7th grade. And I'd always listen to it like all the time. It was like a Mistletoe by Justin Bieber. I would always listen to that song. But yeah, it was, I just always wanted to have a boyfriend. And I don't know if I really feel like that could be because just everything with my dad, and that the lack of, which again, my dad is a good person. I will say he's a good person. He does know the things that happened and what he's done wrong. And I do forgive him, and I love him more than anything. But like, I do feel like there was a lot of spiritual warfare going on with him. And so I do want to just clarify that, like, you know, we're good. My dad and I are good. So I want to make that known for you guys, that, you know, I do love my dad, and he's a good father. But when we were younger, it was really hard for me, really challenging. So yeah, where was I at? 7th grade year was very hard, and like I said, I was just always boy crazy, always going after all the boys. School ended up being so bad that, because I didn't like doing presentations, I didn't like being in front of anybody, I just wanted to hide everything. And I struggled a lot. Like I said, it was really hard for me in school. I ended up getting truancy charges and then getting put on probation by the time I was in high school. And there was a time when I was out past curfew and I ended up running away from the cops, and then I had to spend 4 days in jail because I ran away from the cops. And one of the girls that I ran away with, we did end up getting away, by the way. Yeah, it was crazy. We ended up hiding really good that the cops didn't even get us. But yeah, one of the girls, she stayed back and listened to the cop. She's actually smart. But I didn't want to get in trouble because, like I said, I was on probation. And so me and this other girl, we ran. Ended up getting in trouble. And eventually the cop showed up at my house. And I ended up getting in trouble for it. By the way, this is so good. This is a honeybee latte. It's like 3 shots of espresso, whole milk, cinnamon, honey, and then today, normally I always get it, but I got the lavender cold foam, which is so good. But yeah, it's so good. Definitely, I highly recommend trying it. It's amazing. So yeah, I ended up going to jail for 4 days, and it felt like forever. Yeah, as a young kid, I just did not care about authority. I don't want to say I was like completely horrible. Like, I mean, I would obey, but there was sometimes like this instance, I just wanted to get away. I was a kid, so, you know. So yeah, I ended up getting in trouble for that, for the truancy charges, and then from not going to school and going to jail, from running away from a cop. And like I said, I didn't want to get in trouble. That's why I ran away, because I had curfew. I had a probation officer. And yeah, so by the time I got to high school, eventually I did get off of probation. I had to do like community service, all that. Finally got off, but I still was struggling to go to school. And per usual, I was always focused on the boys, and I was hanging around a lot of people that just were not good influence. They were not good influence on me at all, nor were they a good influence on my little sister. So yeah, I ended up partying a lot, smoking weed for the first time. I was like probably 15 or 16. And we did end up moving again to another town over. So we kept moving, but it wasn't like we were like moving so far away. It was still kind of around. I mean, so it wasn't too far. But yeah, I still had trouble with showing up to school. And I don't know, school was just something that I did not like school at all. But the only thing I liked about it was the boys. That was the only thing I liked. And again, I really do believe that's just because the relationship between my dad and I think that's really what, like, I feel like I needed to find that love, and I was like in search of that love. It's not like I had a relationship with Jesus. Like, now I am putting the Lord first before anybody ever, and I am so content on being single for until God wants me to be with somebody. And most of my life, like while I was elementary school, middle school, high school, I always just cared about being popular. For school, not so much. People knew me there, so like people would, I don't know, it just ended up not being cool. I don't know if it was just because my family didn't have a lot of money or what. That's my assumption, but I don't know. And also, I just never showed up to school a lot, so maybe that's why too. But so the first school, nobody really paid attention to me that much, and I was considered a nobody apparently to one of the guys that were there. And yeah, it's kind of funny because it's like, I think when you're that age, you care so much about what people think. I just remember just being so devastated because of the rumors and stuff people would say about me. But now that I'm older, it's like, who cares? But yeah, so the other schools that I went to, nobody really knew too much of me, and people started to like me. I remember getting on the cheerleading squad, and but eventually they ended up kicking me off the squad because I couldn't keep my grades up. That was the same too when I would try to play basketball and all these things. But yeah, going back to the third school I went to when I was in high school, and this is after I got off probation, I remember that all I cared about was being popular, like I said, and just fitting in. And I remember I ended up dating this guy, and of course he was popular, and I wanted to be popular so bad. And this is when I wanted to play basketball as well. But like I said, I just never could keep my grades up for anything. I was just like, my main focus was who I was with. And then my freshman year, I met a guy. He was younger than me. He was in 8th grade. And I dated this guy, like I said, because he was popular in wrestling. And I'm pretty sure he was in football, but I don't know for sure. I don't remember. It's hard for me to remember. But during this time, there was a time when we were left home alone. My mom had left, and it's a sad thing. This is a very sad thing, is that my mom left, and she went to church. She went to church on a Sunday, and his parents dropped him off thinking that, oh, he's just going to church, or, thought that he was going to church with us. But in reality, my mom ended up leaving, and I think my mom just said I had a hard time with, like, the discipline thing. But I love my mom so much. And I also was like always nagging her and stuff, and it was just like, Mom, I just want to stay home. I don't want to go to church, kind of thing. Half the time I'd be falling asleep in church. So my mom ended up going to church, and we ended up staying home alone. And unfortunately, that is when SA did end up happening, which when I was at this age, I kind of didn't really like know what was going on, or really, like, part of me knew, but then like there's a long time for me to actually realize that I was, but anyways, yeah, she left, and that's when that happened. And I also was a virgin during this time, so that ended up happening. And I just kind of pretended like it didn't, and I continued to be in this relationship with this person, even though what he did to me was so messed up. And because he was popular, and I was thinking, oh well, like, if I say anything or this gets out, which I did believe I did tell some people, and that blew up. His stepmom came over, and it was just like this whole thing. But I didn't take it too far, because I just wanted to desperately fit in for once. And the first school I went to didn't fit in. Second school, kinda, but like this school, I really just wanted to fit in. I wanted to be popular so bad. I cared about what everybody thought about me so bad, and I just thought this was my opportunity, and that's what was happening for me. Like, I dated this guy. I was a new girl. Like, everybody thought, oh, this pretty girl, she's new, and I thought, like, this was just my opportunity to be cool for once. But that also didn't last long. Eventually we did end up breaking up, and it was just this big thing. But I also don't remember too much. I think I kind of block a lot of it out. But yeah, I stopped showing up to school. There was a lot. I think I ended up trying to be homeschooled for a while, like my freshman year, and I was ashamed. I was very ashamed of just everything that happened, and I just wish I would have spoke up. And that's the thing that's sad, is like, I feel like a lot of times when this happens to people, like, at least from my experience, like SA, it's like you don't know how to speak up, because you're like, are people gonna believe me? They're gonna believe this happened to me? I mean, I was like probably 15 years old, 16. I was held back again. So I was held back in like first grade. So yeah, I just didn't really know. And I also, like I said, I just really desperately wanted to fit in and wanted to be in this like relationship. So yeah, after that happened, I was ashamed. And honestly, after a while, I just stopped going to school, and I ended up having my mom school me, because I was just tired of everything. And this is when I ended up, at this age, I did end up self-harming a lot of, cutting my arms. And also, I had friends that were doing that, so I think that's also another reason why I started doing that too, because just like a lot of my friends were doing it, and I saw them doing it. I really truly do believe that when you're around certain people that are doing, whether they're doing drugs or self-harm, whatever, that really does have an effect on you. It truly does. Like, whoever you're around, you will become. And that's why, like, the Lord even tells us to not be around people who are consistently just like living in sin, So, but yeah, I did end up self-harming. I was homeschooled for a long period. Well, I don't want to say like a long period, but like, I don't even know, maybe it was like a year or so, or a little bit less than a year, but it just didn't work out. It was hard for me to stay motivated. And again, I never liked school to begin with. my thing was like, I just always wanted to be rich in school. So a lot of times I'd just be searching like, how do you be rich? How do you become rich? And that's what I always just wanted to know, is like, how do you become rich? So that was like my main thing. And so I would always be searching on YouTube, how do you be rich? I always wanted to know how to be wealthy. So yeah, eventually I did end up going back to the same school, but I went to like, it was like I think it's called like a CBI program, where I could go to school for like 3 hours. So I went to school, I think it was a few hours, something like that, like from 8 to like 11:30. I had like a really good deal there, okay? And my teacher was also amazing. He was a Marine. He was awesome. I loved him so much. He even had coffee in the back, and he would be like, oh yeah, you can have some coffee. It was so cool. And he'd let us play dodgeball and stuff. It was so fun. So yeah, I had a really good deal there. Like, I mean, I could just go to school for a few hours, and after that I could just go to work. So I worked at KFC. I was making like $8.15 an hour, and I remember I'd like work so hard just to be able to get myself some buckle jeans, those like Rock Revival those were Rock Revival jeans. I remember spending so much money. I think they were like $200 on a pair of jeans. I was absolutely crazy, but I was just so young and in high school and wanted to fit in with everybody. So, but yeah, I would do that, and I would go to school for a few hours and then go to work. But I really struggled. I even struggled to do that. I don't know. It was really hard for me. I still look back, and part of me really does regret it, but because I had it really set up. And also, my teacher made it to where I could have graduated with my original class of 2016, because I was gonna just do like a bunch of schooling, and I was gonna do whatever I had to do to just get caught up on everything, because I remember I told you guys I got held back in first grade, so I was gonna try to make up for everything. And fortunately, I didn't do any of that. I just kept focusing on partying, and I would just go to parties all the time and focus on guys and all that. I ended up going to a Halloween party, and I think this was my junior year. I want to say it was probably my junior year. Yeah, probably. And I ended up meeting this country boy and country boys, during this time. I just always wanted to be with the country boy. He was the only country boy at this party, okay? This Halloween party. And so I ended up dating this guy. He was like the first guy that I dated that was like, I would say like my first real relationship, because I was old enough to like really know what was going on. Like, I was like, I think 18 years old, 17 or 18 years old. And like I said, the guy that I dated before that was the guy that I stayed. So yeah, I ended up getting in a relationship with this guy. I was with him for about a year and a half. And I was young and stupid. I even, still to this day, I have a tattoo on my side. Yeah. Oh, I really just, I'm so sad that I got that at 18 years old. Ladies, do not ever get a tattoo. I did it twice. You thought that I would learn the first time. No, I didn't. The second time I got this tattoo right here. Yeah, I don't know. Part of me is like, I don't want to cover it up because I feel like that'd be painful. And then I'm like, I did try to get this one lasered off, but it hurts. And it's also expensive. Just laser like 3 seconds was like $120. But yeah, going back to that relationship that I was in when I was 18, I was just fully obsessed with this guy, and that was like my life, my world. Everything was just being in this relationship with this guy. And so again, I just didn't focus on anything that was important. I wanted to know how to get rich, and I just always constantly was just like trying to educate myself, how do I become rich, and then just how do I make this guy happy, pretty much. And that was that. And a lot of this time, like I said, I was just partying, doing things I wasn't supposed to. And I ended up getting into just, like, I still was smoking weed, but I eventually ended up getting into, as I got older, I think I was at 18, 19. Ended up getting into, like, cocaine stuff eventually, but just partying all the time. Like, I mean, all the time. My mom was tired of it. She was tired of all the partying, but we would party so much. And that was my life, was just partying, being in a relationship, and not going to school. Did not care, just never went to school, and I eventually did stop going to school altogether. And yeah, which I'm still, like I said, I'm still so regretful of that. But I did end up finishing. I did end up graduating, just not for a long time. So yeah, I was in this relationship, and eventually it ended, unfortunately. Well, I don't even want to say unfortunately, because like at the time it was very heartbroken at the time. Now I'm grateful that, you know, we're not together anymore, but just during the time it was really hard for me, because like I said, I just, like, my world was like being in a relationship. Like, I did not know how to be like alone. I just felt like I always needed to be in a relationship all the time. And so after that, I spiraled, and it was like alcohol and more drugs, and then cocaine, and then unfortunately acid one time. I ended up just, I did have a lot of guy friends. I ended up like playing basketball during the summer all the time, and what do you know, eventually I ended up meeting another guy. And I won't get into too many details. I'm gonna leave a lot of details out, but I will say that I just met this guy through basketball and partying all the time, and he'd come to my house and party and everything, drink a bunch. And again, he was like around the same age as me, like a year younger, I think. And we played basketball, and then just ended up, dating after that. And eventually I did end up getting pregnant really young, and was also going through my mom, and we ended up losing the house we were in, so we were like kind of like hopping from place to place, and it was really hard, really challenging, just going from place to place. But eventually I did end up moving in with him and his dad, and then his sister. And because, oh yeah, I do want to go back a little bit though. I did get pregnant. I don't think I said that, but yeah, I did get pregnant. And he was in his senior year of high school, and I ended up getting pregnant with our daughter, Ella Rosalie. And unfortunately, she did pass away. And I lost my daughter I was just 20 years old, and I lost my daughter, and it was the hardest thing I've ever gone through in my life. One of the hardest things. I've been through a lot in my life, and that was a very hard time, but I was also so young that it's just like, it's just, I was so young, and it between everything that happened as when I was younger to then that happening was very hard for me. And I, spiraled even more. And some people don't realize, but like, you might look at people and think, oh, well, why aren't they doing so good in life? Like, why are they not, like, you might look at someone's life and be like, oh, well, maybe they're lazy, or maybe they're not doing enough that they could be. Well, you don't even know the half of it. Truly, you don't know the half of it. And trauma statistically does affect people who, like, when people go through a lot when they're younger, it affects them when they're older. And the only one who can help is the Lord Jesus Christ. He is the only one. He is the only one that can help to be able to get through. No therapist, nothing like that. Jesus is the only one that can help. And he's the only one who has helped me in all of my pain and everything I've been through. But yeah, I had my daughter at 19 years old, January 2nd. And my birthday is January 21st, so I had her before my 20th birthday. And then she unfortunately passed away July 4th of 2018. And this, I do want to say that my daughter did pass away after she got vaccinated. She did get vaccinated, and then 6 days later, she passed away after she was vaccinated. On the death certificate, it said something about a mucus plug, but I really truly do believe that it was from the vaccination shot, and that's just me knowing, like, God's told me, truly, that's what happened to her, and I know it with all of my heart. That's what happened to my daughter. I know it, because those vaccines are just dangerous. But so yeah, after my daughter passed away, it was challenging, and I became numb. I was numb. I did not like even know how to feel. I feel like when my daughter passed away, part of me left with her. It's like I felt like part of my soul went with her, and I just love her and miss her more than anything. And I will be sharing with you guys like a picture of her. She's so beautiful, most beautiful baby. So yeah, after she passed away, before my daughter passed away, I was really into the partying and all that. So now, after she passed away, it just got 10 times worse. And after she passed away, I was just smoking weed like so much. Like, I smoked so much that like I would go to the drug dealer's place, get weed, and then go back again within the same day. Like 10 blunts, if not more, a day. These were big blunts too. And it was just me and my friend just constantly smoking all day, driving around, smoking, doing that. I was completely numb. It's like I felt like the world just kept going and I was just stuck. Like, everybody around me just continued their lives and I just stayed in one spot. So yeah, I was just constant smoking weed, and I didn't really want to do anything with my life. It was, I was living with my boyfriend at the time, my daughter's father, and after she passed away, he ended up becoming very controlling, which he was already controlling, which I think that's just something that, he had from when he was, people were taught this. I don't put the blame on him, it's when he was a child. I even remember some of the things that has happened to him, but, unfortunately it's learned. And so he, abused me and was very controlling. He just really, after she passed away, it got really bad. And I am truly traumatized from the things that he's done to me. I don't even know, there's so many stories, but he would try to control the people that would hang out, which they weren't the best influence, but I don't, being that young, you should never control what anybody does. And he would control people who I would hang out with. He didn't like that I smoked weed and all these things, but it was crazy because after she passed away, he would say that, I was weak because I smoked weed, but he would take sleeping pills. It's like he would take sleeping pills and sleep all day because he was so depressed because after Ella passed away, and it's like, it's not that different. It's really not that different. But yeah, he was mad at me for apparently being weak after Ella passed away, and just controlled everything. Wanted to control me and who I would hang out with. And there was one night I went to my friend's house. I was going to stay the night there, and we smoked weed. And I came back home. I was going to stay the night there, but apparently her mom didn't let me stay the night there, and I drove back home extremely high, and I'm so mad that I had to do that. it was very dangerous for mom to have to make me do that. And I tried to go to Walmart to like get like a different shirt because I was scared he was gonna smell it, the weed on me, which he did. And when I got there, you know, he was there and with his friends in the living room playing video games because he had his friends over. I just went straight to the room and he followed me in there, and surprised his friends didn't hear anything. I don't know if they did or not, but he choked me up against the wall and knew I smoked weed because he smelled my fingers. He could smell the smoke on my fingers, and took my phone, and yeah, he choked me like, and so that was a very, very hard night for me. So that's one example. There's another time when I forget what, oh yeah, there's, this time is really bad too. I remember I moved out. I was like getting all my stuff and trying to move out and leave him because he started to get really physically, like, not just the controlling about who I would hang out with, like he would show up to where, like, if I was driving down the road, he would have my location and he would tell me to pull over with my friend. Like, he pulled my friend out of the car and was like yelling at her and everything, and it was just horrible. But this time was different, completely different time, and which I am no saying there's things I did really wrong in this relationship too. I had a lot of sugar daddies. I mean, there's a lot of people who are young and have, or 20 years old, have sugar daddies when they're young. I won't say everybody, but you know, I did. I had guys that would give me money, you know, just because I was pretty. Like, literally, just because I was pretty, they would give me money. They didn't do anything. They just gave me money because I was pretty. He didn't like that, you know. He did not like that, you know. Which I do take responsibility, and I know that was wrong for me to do that. It was not right for me to do that at all. But there was one day specifically where he told me that he was going to end my life, and also he was threatening to end his life, and he had a knife. My mom was sleeping, and he was screaming at me, and he used the knife, cut up my walls, threw my phone against the wall, and held on this knife to my throat, said that I need to hurry up and grab the knife, forced my hand on the knife, and said that he was going to kill himself and that my prints were on the knife. So he said that when the cops came, that I was going to go to jail because my prints were on the knife. And I remember him just holding that knife, waking me up out of I was sleeping. He woke me up. There's so many times he woke me up. And again, I was wrong for having these sugar daddies. I was wrong. But it wasn't like I was like doing anything with them. Like, I mean, I'm not trying to justify my actions. I'm just clarifying more, because it's not like I was really doing these things. A lot of times I would manipulate the guys and say, oh yeah, I'm gonna do something, but I never actually did. And then there were some guys that just gave me money because, like I said, I was pretty. So I mean, he did have a right to be mad, but he just took things too far, and he's a kid. He didn't know how to, did not know how to regulate his emotions during this time, and would just go absolutely nuts, go crazy on me. And but yeah, I thought that night that he was going to end my life, and I honestly truly believe that if my mom was not home, like I'm telling you guys, like I am 100% confident that he would have ended my life. He would have ended my life during this time. And so I think this was about 2018, 2019, I think, around the time that this happened. But yeah, our relationship was just, it was the most toxic relationship that I've ever been in my entire life. It was like a horror movie. An absolute horror movie. always promised myself I would never be in a relationship like that was that controlling ever, and I'm so grateful that I never been in a relationship that's like that ever, because that was just absolutely horrible, and it was just constant abuse, and not just physically but verbally as well. And again, I know there was a lot of things that I did wrong. I was young, I was stupid, and a lot of times I would do things that were wrong, but I always told him the things I did wrong. I always confessed. If I ever did anything wrong, I would always try to tell him, because I just felt so guilty. You know, if I ever did anything wrong, I would always, tell him. Sorry, I was getting a call, but yeah, so eventually he did end up going to jail, because I think my mom called the cops or something like that, but he ended up, or no, I called the cops, because remember, it was like I was leaving him, and I remember he just threw me to the ground and started kicking me, and just kicking the crap out of me while I was on the ground, and just because I just wanted to leave him. I didn't want to be with him anymore. I was just so tired. I was exhausted of dealing with him. Like, again, I know I didn't do anything right, but I didn't know what to do, because during this time I was young. When I was a young mom, I was really young. I didn't know what to do, and it was hard for me to, work and do all these things, which I ended up working at Arby's and stuff, but he didn't want to work. He did not want to work during this time, and so I just didn't know what to do. I was just trying to make it, and I was just so young. I didn't really have guidance during this time, so it was really hard for me. And going back to the vaccination thing, on my daughter being vaccinated, I did not get my daughter vaccinated. That was Ella's father's doing. So my ex did end up getting her vaccinated. That was not anything that I wanted. I am completely against vaccinations, so I want to make that clear. So yeah, I'm just trying to make ends meet. That's why I made the decisions I made. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do, and he didn't want to work, and I just didn't know. And I do take complete accountability for the things I did. I know I did those things wrong, but it was just really hard for me. But yeah, so during this time, yeah, like I said, I was trying to leave him. I had a family friend try to help me to move out, and yeah, he was kicking me to the ground. He shoved me to the ground, started kicking me, and I went to the bathroom and called the cops. And then he went to jail for a while, and he did get away with it, because I guess because I remember him and his family were really on me about, not pressing charges and telling the courts just forget about it, dismiss the case. And I think that's what eventually did end up happening, is they just dismiss it, even though the cops came and they saw the marks on me and stuff like that. They ended up just dismissing it, and he ended up getting away with it, which is horrible, but yeah, that's what happened. And eventually out of that, I moved out of his family's house. So when he went to jail, his dad was like, "You can't stay in here." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I don't want to stay here. Trust me, I don't want to stay here." I ended up leaving, and I'm so grateful I did. I ended up moving with my dad, and my dad was a truck driver, so he's just always gone all the time. And I ended up, moving with my sister. My sister Sarah moved in, and then some other my brothers moved in. My everybody was living there. So, and I was happy. This was probably the happiest time I was, and this was from 2019 to 2020. This is where most of my part 1 is almost done. But there's still a lot. Oh my gosh, there's still a lot that I need to tell you guys. But, so yeah, 2019, I ended up to really heal after I got out of this really toxic relationship. Like I said, there's a lot that I didn't mention that was with the father of my daughter. That relationship, there's just so many stories that I could share, but maybe, I don't know, I will end up sharing them all with you guys, but I just wanted to share some of them with you. But y'all get it. It was a very, very toxic relationship, and I I really struggled after that, and I think he also just struggled too, because he did not want to let me go and was very controlling and just kept wanting to get me back. But I'm glad that eventually we ended up going our separate ways, thank God. So yeah, 2019 moved in with my dad, and I ended up getting a job as a housekeeper, and I loved housekeeping. I still love cleaning in general. Cleaning is just so therapeutic to me. And I ended up getting a job, and I worked there for a couple years and got into, what do you know, yet another relationship. And this guy was in the Army, and we dated for I think about a year. And yeah, I really supported him in the Army and everything, and he really motivated me, because I was like, oh, he's young, he's a little younger than me, like 2 years younger than, I think 2 years or a year and a half, something like that. But yeah, he really motivated me, and I was like, yeah, I'm finally, I was healing. And again, I was in that relationship with my daughter's father for 3 years. I was with him for, I think it was 3 years. Yeah, I think it was 3 years, because it was it was a few years I was with him. And that's the J that I have right there, which hopefully this will be gone soon. I just need to cover it up, but it just hurts, and I'm always so scared. But yeah, so we were together for a few years, and then eventually, like I said, after I moved and started working as a housekeeper, I ended up getting a new relationship with someone who ended up going to the Army right after he got done with his high school, and I was just so happy and so supportive. And then I ended up losing a bunch of weight, because I was just running all the time and so motivated, and this was probably one of the happiest times of my life. It was 2019 to 2020. I ended up just after I got out of that relationship that was just so draining and so toxic, I was so happy. And it was really hard though, because this person, my daughter's father, it was hard because we lost our daughter together, and that was just I feel that's what kept us bonded. And still to this day, I still care about him and wish the best. I pray the best for him, still to this day. But yeah, so it did make it hard, just because what we went through together. But all the abuse and stuff was just horrible. So yeah, I dated this guy that was in the Army, and eventually I was wanting to move away with him. We were actually gonna end up getting married. I had a ring for him, he had a ring for me, and we had signed to get an apartment in Louisiana. So he was stationed, I think, in Louisiana. So we got an apartment there. I was gonna end up moving there. So I was gonna move all the way out of Ohio, all the way to Louisiana, and I was gonna get a different job there and get married to him. And this is where I really feel like God's hand was over my life, because I am not kidding you guys. I was ready to marry this guy. I thought he was my dream man, Excuse me. He, I've always liked guys with blue eyes, that's just always been my type. Not gonna lie, that's just guys, a guy with blue eyes, yo. Anyways, yeah, I was gonna marry this guy, but what ended up happening is a lot of cheating happened, and that was on his part. And I just think he just started talking to other girls and stuff like that, which stopped us from getting married. But there's also things that I did too, not cheating or anything, but there's times where I did do things wrong, where I would lie about certain things and I just wanted attention. I think that's what I wanted, was just, I really was always wanting attention and stuff like that. So I would make things up, just to, not all the time, it was just one big lie that I made up or whatever, just so I could get attention. So I will say on my part there was some bad things too, but yeah, we ended up not getting married, obviously, and that was that, and we ended up breaking up. And we had this whole apartment signed, and I was gonna move, and we were gonna get married in like the court or whatever, and yeah, but he ended up coming home for, I think, Christmas, and then we ended up breaking up, and that was that. And I'm so glad to God, like, thank you, God, that I did not marry a man who does not know the Lord. Thank you, God. Like, you know, I just, even when I didn't go to church all this time, and I mean, it was here and there, I'd still go to church, but it was like not really that much. I was still smoking weed, and there was a period of time where I was smoking cigarettes too. But I am so grateful that I'm so grateful to God that I never married this man, and I'm so grateful to God that he just stopped that from happening. I'm literally so happy, like, because I don't know, like, where I would be. It'd be horrible. But yeah, so I ended up being with him until like 2020. And after we broke up, we ended up getting back together. Unfortunately, he called me when I think he was just drunk one night and called me up and wanted to get back with me, and I accepted him back, and then went to go and visit him. And then, yeah, after that, I think he ended up breaking up with me again, and I was devastated and everything like that. You know, for a long time in my life, I just feel like I always wanted to feel validated. I always wanted to be in a relationship, and I didn't know how to be single. I didn't know how to be single. But again, during this time, I was working a lot. I was working on myself. I was eating healthy. I was just working, like, so there's a lot of times where I would be working like even overtime, working so much. And so, like, after we broke up, I just said, screw it, like, I'm just gonna focus on myself. So I ended up getting another job, and I ended up working like thirds. So I would work from like 11 p.m. till like 6 or 7 in the morning. Then after that, I would go to my housekeeping job. And I worked at a truck stop, and then, yeah, after I got off, I would go to my housekeeping job, and I would work from like 8 a.m. to like 4:30. But sometimes I can get off earlier, just depending how fast I got the rooms done, because in housekeeping, they give you like a list of rooms, so you could get like 10 rooms, and as long as you do everything on there, usually you can leave. Or if they wanted you to go help other girls, then you do that, and then after that you could leave. So that's what I would do. And yeah, I was just exhausted. I just didn't care. I was just like so focused on myself and everything, and I was just trying to save up money and everything. But then when I'm like at the best of, in my eyes, I was like I was like really good shape. I was like, you know, making money. I was able to pay my bills. I was just completely independent. It's not like I was relying on guys or anything like that. I didn't have no sugar daddies or anything like that. Well, like, I didn't need them because it's not that they didn't want to give me money. Well, actually, there was still some, but like, it's not like I was going on my way to be like, hey, can I have that money? You know? So, like, I was focusing on myself and really trying to just make money myself. And I was proud of myself. I was really, really proud of myself. And I was trying to just focus on, you know, being that boss babe type girl. Especially in 2020, I was just like, I'm going to be rich. I'm going to do this. I'm going to have my own business. I'm going to do that. And then, you know, I ended up, and I also wanted to be with a Christian guy, and I ended up downloading this, like, Christian dating app. And I ended up getting into another long relationship, and this is where I'm going to stop. This is the part 1 of my testimony. I'm going to stop there because there's just so much that I want to say, and I'm going to leave that for a different time. I don't know when I will share it, but I just wanted to share this part of my testimony, and I'm actually so happy that I'm almost at an hour and I got this much in here, because I tried filming this so many times and I always just like deleted it. So I'm just gonna give you guys this. But yeah, that's part 1 of my testimony, and like I said, there's a lot that I left out. I don't know if I will end up sharing them or not, all the details, but I wanted to share some, and I just want y'all to know that, like, don't let people make you feel like, you know, your story doesn't matter. Because, like, you know, you hear like people saying, like, oh, don't play like the victim card. Like, you don't want to be a victim. Like, if you go through something that's hard, like, you know, they make it like, I feel like society makes you feel like it's that you shouldn't share your story. But you can be blessing somebody by sharing your story, because there's a lot of people that could have went through the similar thing that you did, and because you were brave enough to share your story, I think other people would be. It makes them brave enough to want to share theirs. So, share your story. And who cares what anybody thinks about you? You deserve to share your story, and Jesus loves you. But yeah, I'm gonna stop there, y'all. I hope y'all have a good morning. I don't know what time it is wherever you guys watch this video. Good morning, afternoon, or good night. And God bless you guys.